I told y'all we was coming right back into the video. It's 11:05.
And it's my last joke, and it's my closing joke.
Okay.
1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. Him and Steve had already apologized for me, so I gave him a pass for a decade. Why would you sit here and be like, I saw Cat 30 times, and Cat didn't do, as I stand before you, Shannon. I would have bust Cedric's stomach. There was nothing that would have kept me from one of these in that patch right there. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you downplay me like that? Why did I give you a pass if you were just gonna lie? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all a group. Cedric, Steve, Ricky, they've been a group. Everybody knows that. They've been aligned. And there are these alliances in comedy. And if you stand against them, then they sometimes have a problem. But we don't let that change the content, because that's all you know me for, is that I'm quite likely to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Can you believe we're this deep into the NFL season? We got to make every second count.
I see you
With
reading off that
DraftKings
paper,
Sportsbook,
Short.
You can make the most out of every game. 50 Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now. Use code Shannon. New customers can score 150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just.
What was Cat Williams' upbringing like? Your parents were Jehovah's Witness. You were a prodigy. You were brilliant. You talked to me that you got accepted to college at 7 years of age. You could read fluently at 3 years of age. So having that kind of knowledge, having that kind of prodigy, what was your upbringing? How was it? How was life as Cat Williams Crunk coming up?
I was often confused because I knew things and I wasn't sure how I knew them. I knew things that I felt like I don't have a reason that I know this, but I love to read. I was voracious because they told me when I was young that knowledge was powerful. That knowledge was power, and I had studied powerful people, and I really believed that. I immediately, my next project was to read the whole encyclopedia set. So when you're like 6, 7 years old, you read the whole encyclopedia set, you think you're one of the smartest people in the world,
right,
only to get out in the world and find out you don't know anything, you know? So it was a confusing time, but yeah, I had a childhood. I was grown, but I at 5 years old, I was in front of 10,000 people giving a performance with a full suit and tie on. You know what I mean? So yeah. It came full circle. For my life, I knew that the applause and the giving of information and laughs and truth to people somehow benefited them and also benefited you. And yeah, so when they would ask me what I wanted to be, everything that I would say that I wanted to be was something that didn't exist. And they would never give me credit for it because I needed to say a doctor or a lawyer, but that's not what I wanted to be.
So your parents weren't as supportive as you would have hoped because you were wanting to be things when you got older that they had no knowledge of, or it didn't exist at the time.
At US Cellular, anyone can get any phone free.
I'm not gonna lie, I zoned out. He was just talking. He just yapping. He talking that talk though.
That it was. I'm saying I'm almost 100 years old right now, but if we go outside right now, I can run a 4.340 or sub. I can do a 4.16 if I'm.
Oh, there's Jimmy John's across the street. We can order a sub.
But
oh, you've been on the submarine. That what you sub?
So So back then it was even greater. So you got this guy that all the coaches want to play.
Man, Cass, don't do that.
Hold on, because I'm 5'5" in the 5th grade. I've been this high my whole life.
Look, he said he could run a 4.0 flat or 4.30. I hope y'all can see this. Hold up, let me see. Can y'all see this? We're gonna bring this up. This is him. Did you catch that? Ah, 4.30 flat. Barry Allen.
Like, there was a portion of school where I was one of the big dudes. Like, as soon as everybody caught their growth spurt, I was out of there. But I'm saying I was a competitive individual. My father was an athlete.
I can see that.
Like, no, I've been 145 pounds my whole career. That's why I never bothered when they said, your cat's on drugs. I knew, how you gonna prove that? My body is a temple.
I've been the same size since I was 10.
Like, what do you? Yeah, like I haven't changed off this pivot foot. This has always been who I was before stand up or anything.
They only say you on drugs when you're not being yourself. Like, if I'm known for just being quiet and just chill like this, and then you see me in the next few months and I'm just talking and I'm like, and then I keep, doing shit like this, they're gonna assume I'm on drugs. So him telling jokes and being a great actor like he Kiki, and then the next moment, he being violent, he getting locked up. The news is just shaming him. Then everybody gonna say, yeah, he must be on drugs or having a midlife crisis.
Anything, but it was an interesting childhood. I appreciate my parents, even though I couldn't live within the religious frameworks of what they had set up. But that was more not wanting to live a double life and not want to embarrass my family. You know what I mean?
Because I read where a form of punishment for you is that they would take books because you mentioned you were such a voracious reader. And a form of punishment was when they would take the books for because you could read fluently. You told me how at like 3 or 4 years old you could read, not just a little child's book, but you could read.
Well, I'm saying when we go to Haiti to do missionary work, understand that my mother and my father, nobody that's there with us speaks French. And it speaks Creole and reads French. So I'm in charge of everything, from the housing to the cars to the gardener. Like I'm saying, so I'm not just reading, I'm reading in multiple languages. Like I'm probably reading 3,000 books a year from the time that I'm 8 years old to the time that I'm 12. No fiction books at all. I'm only reading nonfiction.
You could drive. At 12, you received a full scholarship to the National Science Academy in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, for people who might be calling Cap, this was back in the day. We got TV, so it ain't no way in the world I'm reading that many books a year. But if it ain't no TV, or if you do got TV, but it ain't nothing playing, they didn't have the Martin Show on when he was growing up. I don't know what kind of shows they had. The Soul Train. What exactly are you gonna even watch back at these times? And then there's no way I would let my kid just watch TV all day back then, when the TV was expensive and you ain't have one in your room. I don't know.
But you failed, so you couldn't become, so you would become ineligible. Why didn't you want to take that opportunity?
I didn't see it as an opportunity. When I got in there, all the students were wearing lab coats, and it seemed very confined and restricted, and nobody seemed like they were having fun. It just seemed like everybody was smart. I didn't want that. That wasn't what I was signing up for at all. And plus, I thought that Jesus was my big homie. So you know how you get a story about a dude joined a gang and you get a big homie, right? Like at this particular point in my life, my thought is that the Bible is the greatest book that's ever been written.
Okay.
that it houses the truth, and that it gives you this story of Jesus, and that I'm supposed to be like him.
Okay.
So it's already in my head that as soon as I get 13, I'm leaving.
At 13, you not only like, okay, mom, I'm moving out. You moved from Ohio to Florida on your own. You weren't afraid. I mean, you like, did you?
Hold on.
Did you not have? So what were you going to do when you got to Florida?
Don't say I wasn't afraid. There's no such thing as a human being of not being afraid.
Okay.
There are certain human beings that understand that being afraid in no way stops you from doing what you got to do.
Okay.
So I was afraid, but I couldn't be that afraid because I knew what had happened with Jesus. I knew how it worked out. I knew that I wasn't in the wrong with how I was feeling, and I knew that I didn't have any bad intentions in it.
Right.
So I trusted God that it would work out.
Why Florida?
Because if you're raised in Ohio, the one thing on your list is, I'm gonna get away from snow, and I'm gonna get as far. I want to go. Tell me the place. I literally went to a truck stop and I asked all the truck drivers where they was going, and there was one guy going to California, and there was one guy going to Florida, and they told me how long it was gonna take, and so that's why I ended up in Miami, because.
How'd you get there? You caught a bus?
No, I just told you. I was at the truck stop.
So you hitchhiked?
I didn't hitchhike. I got in the back of the dude's 18-wheeler, me and my Rottweiler puppy and my suitcase. Yeah, because I probably had $2,500 on me, like I was shoveling snow and cutting grass. Like, I always had pockets full of money.
When did you make the decision that you were going to leave Ohio and go somewhere? And it ended up being Florida. So, but when did you know that you were leaving Dayton, Ohio, going to Florida?
Oh my God, here we go. Kimberly calculated from the beginning, how do I become famous?
This is your grandson.
You're serious?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with this generation. They're tricky.
Where's the mouse?
And my father and I's last interaction, somebody could have not made it. And we both understood that was all bad.
What was the disagreement about?
If you say that my family is very religious, just say I'm not. So anything that I'm going to do is going to fall out of the guidelines.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you tell me what I'm going to be, especially if what you're saying is wrong. I can't condone wrong. And if I find out that something is wrong and I tell you it's wrong and you don't back me, that's what it is.
Even as a young child, you were willing to tell your parents that some of the things that you're saying doesn't coincide with what I've been reading in the Bible.
No, very simply. Don't try to disfellowship me for sexual acts and I'm a virgin. Sorry, God don't make mistakes. You don't get 2 times to fuck me over. What do you mean you went to God and he told you I was guilty? You just lied on God. So long. That's it. There's no conversation. Deuces. That's what it was.
That's when you made the decision. After that conversation right there, you say, "Nah, I can't live under this roof."
It wasn't a conversation. It was an altercation. In the altercation, I love my father. My father loved me. But we are 2 men at it. It'll never be the same again. You can't sleep comfortably around me. And I can't sleep comfortably around you.
How similar are you to your father?
I don't know. He's a great man. I'm saying,
because it seems like y'all butted heads.
Right, but I'm saying that generally happens with a father-son dynamic. It was just that religious relationships are always difficult in families. They always are.
Before it got to the point, because the dynamic, he's father, you're son. Before that dynamic and you step up on his level and you challenge him, you felt it was best for you to leave.
No. I'm not being challenged. I'm being beat to death.
Oh, he was abusive.
I didn't say that. I said we were in an altercation.
I see what you did there. I saw what you did there. I saw what you did there, Cat.
Yeah.
I saw what you did. You was in an altercation. You didn't say you lost. You said you was in an altercation.
I in no way gave you the impression that I won anything. I'm the one leaving. I'm out of bounds. This is his house.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So
see-
as long as I'm going to be under his roof,
You respect
there are
him as your
certain
father.
things that I'm going to have to do.
Right.
And the only way that's going to change is either this or that. And I'm saying I had two younger brothers. Like, I'm not an unreasonable person. Like, I don't have any mental issues whatsoever, despite what they lead people to believe. You know, I make pretty good decisions.
Were you not? So how was their relationship with your father? Were you not afraid to leave them?
Well, I asked because it went all the way to the actual department, so it was actually going to be something. And when I asked them if they could just make sure that
If I was live streaming and I had some sort of chat, reactions would be a lot different though. But because I could just sit here and just watch a video, hopefully people can, for some reason, chill and watch a video with me. That'd be cool one day. The hell are you looking at? But yeah.
my brothers didn't get separated and what have you. They said they couldn't make those type of guarantees, that they weren't really sure what would happen if this went down. And so part of leaving was the hope that it would be okay for them, because none of them experienced what I experienced. I'm saying I'm the oldest. It's a lot riding on me. I'm supposed to at least religiously hold down the family's name
Correct.
at this household.
Right.
You know what I mean?
How much older are you than the baby and the knee baby?
Like a lot older. Like I think
12, 13.
Yeah, they're 5 and in Pampers.
Wow. You go to Florida. You tell the story. I've heard you were homeless, and
Right.
somebody else told the story, said they were homeless, and you said they hijacked your story. Now I don't.
At 13, I shouldn't have to tell you I'm homeless. I'm in Miami, Florida. I have no family members in Florida. I couldn't buy a house if I wanted to. I couldn't get an apartment if I wanted
Correct.
to. I don't have a credit history. Like, this is not a stretch for me to say that I'm homeless. I'm living in a park in Coconut Grove. The park still exists to this day. For 8 hours a day, I would get up and go to the library and study for 8 hours a day to increase my education. And then I would leave out of there and go to the marina and steal car radios and make $2,000 almost daily. Like, I had a routine. This
So
is
you
what
really
I
could have
did.
played that sad old thieving Santa Claus. You could have played it.
No, the Santa Claus wasn't a thief.
Yeah, he was. He
The
told-
Santa Claus, you can't tell me. I read the script. Ricky Smiley told you he didn't read the script. The Santa Claus was a crackhead. He just had that outfit on. That's what I couldn't have played.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't have played the black guy that got raped in the bathroom.
Right. So at any point in time, did you like, man, I made a mistake, man. I should have stayed my butt in Ohio, man, because this ain't what I signed up for.
I didn't experience anything once I left home that I hadn't signed up for. If anything, it saved my life. Me being homeless for that small period of time allowed me to see all of the people that were in that situation, and to see that these were lawyers and doctors and teachers, and that these people were white and black and Asian and Indian, and the only thing that all of these homeless people had in common was
They had no money.
they made a bad decision and aligned themselves with drugs. And I interviewed them all. What drug? And guess what, Shannon? Nobody had a great story. Nobody had a great story of what meth had done for them, what crack had done for them, what cocaine had done for them, what heroin had done for them, what speed had done for them. Nobody had them stories. Everybody's story was, I had my life together. And then I decided to do this dumb thing. And I lost my wife, I lost my house, I lost my cars, I lost my reputation, and I'm now out here sucking penis in the woods. What? Talk about scared straight. You ain't got to worry about me. If it ain't weed or nicotine, you won't see me touching it. I don't want no parts. I done seen what these things can do to people. Anything that take over your free will is the devil itself.
Bro, comedians being serious, bro, are just so funny. Just because, like, what's that? That Saw with Chris Rock in there, bro. I just couldn't take that really serious, bro. Him playing a serious role, he played the role good, but I was just laughing because it's just him, his face. No homo, not like he's ugly, but it's just face, bro. Some people, they don't have to do anything and they just funny.
Have you ever thought about what your life would have been had you stayed in Dayton, Ohio?
Basketball is back. Watch the action live on a variety of...
Man, I'm only watching buns in basketball, man. I don't know what that shit's talking about. Damn, not been 21 minutes? Where we at with this? 45. We gonna go to 50.
No, that's like asking somebody that's in the NBA for 14 years, like, what would have happened if you didn't come to the NBA? Oh, I shudder to think. I thought it was what I was made for. I thought it was what I was built for. Anybody that knows me will tell you that when they first met Cat Williams, when I was Cat in the Hat, and they tell these stories about how he changed his name. Look, the truth of the matter is Disney sued me. Yeah, I was Cat in the Hat. They sent me a cease and desist letter, and I'm not even making $25,000 a year. And the mega company Disney has sent me a cease and desist telling me I can't use any variations of that name. Fine, I'm Cat Williams. That's all that happened. I have been this same product the entire time. They will tell you when they first saw me doing stand-up, I was just like this. This is what I bring. This is my style.
When did you know were you always funny? Did you always want to be a comedian? Did you stumble on a comedianship?
No, I loved what they did, and so I studied them, all of them. I studied all of the white comedians because I wanted to know, why is Monty Python funny? Why is Don not so talented? I wanted to know, what is George Carlin's thing? Like, so I studied all of the comedy masters regardless of the field because I loved to laugh. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that these people were making a great living at doing this. I thought this is just what they did. They tell jokes. They're funny people. But I loved the craft. And that's why when I got into the craft, I thought it was my obligation to make sure that I kept writing new material so much that it forced these comedians to stop doing the set they've been doing for 10 years and keep writing some new stuff. And I knew that if I could get that to take on, that most of these bums would have to just quit comedy because they can't keep up. They're not gonna keep writing an hour worth of material.
Right.
I've written an hour worth of material 19 times. They're not gonna do it. Why? Because they're not creative writers. They want to get somebody else and have them write it and put it together.
So if I'm listening to you correct me if I'm wrong. I think the best thing that ever happened was the internet. Because now they have to. Because normally, like you said, you could do a set and you do that set in Kansas City, people ain't heard it in San Francisco. People ain't heard it in Miami. They ain't heard it in Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, so forth and so on. Now you do a set, it's on the internet. Somebody heard it. So you can't do a set and make it last 3 months, 4 months.
Well, it doesn't allow the regular comic the ability to grow is the real problem. Like, the part of comedy is me taking these jokes in January, and by March, I've begun to craft this joke.
Okay.
It's not as simple as it was. When I wrote it, it was just da-da-da-da-da. But now it has the complexities of the fact that I'm having to deliver this to an East Coast audience, a down South audience, a Midwest audience, a Utah audience, a Colorado audience. And so it begins to take on a different complexion because you're having to deliver it to different people.
Okay.
And so this is what sharpens your joke. You then take those sharpened jokes and make a special. Not you just randomly take some. So it's a process. You don't allow them to process if the first time the guy did the joke, now that's his joke and the joke is everywhere. That just sets it up for people to steal.
So how many times must you tell a joke before you master it?
How many times have you had to sleep with a woman before you're done with her? That's not fair. If it's great, never. if it ceases to have usefulness, so it has been spoken. Right.
I read that you was raised in Florida. You had some help, some ladies of the night.
No.
That's not true.
No, that whole story doesn't take place in Florida. That story takes place in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
So after I'm in Florida, I then join, I try to join the Marine Corps, and they won't accept me because I'm too young, and I've lied and told them I'm 16 and my family's moving down and I don't have my ID, but it's coming. And so they let me go to the boot camp, da-da-da. That's not gonna work now. Okay, so I've learned that lesson. So then I get this job selling stuff door to door. Across the country. And so I've been to all 50 states. Again, I'm 14 years old. So I did that. While I'm doing that, one of the places...
Damn. I'm fucking sleepy. All right, man. I gotta get up. 4 more minutes.
Places I'm at, I'm in Oklahoma, and I've decided I'm going to stay here because of meeting these ladies that you're talking about and that situation. I don't know at the time why that's important in my life or why it's something I should be doing or any of that. But now later on, it certainly helps me in formulating Money Mike for Friday After Next.
Right.
And a pimp named Slickback for the Boondocks.
Oklahoma, so San Francisco, Oklahoma, Sacramento. From Florida, you moved to the West Coast. So you traveling. When did you set up shop on the West Coast? How old were you then?
So I guess I'm 18 or younger, and once I have a child, I realized that I can't. It's a lot of things that I could use to make money that now is a no-go. So anything with street aspirations that I might have thought about pursuing or been good at, I now am a single parent and I gotta redo this thing. So I need comedy to really work out for me.
Right.
And me and God go into extreme conversation where I'm explaining to him that I'm a crash out dummy if he don't send me a lifeline. Like, I need something I can hold on to. Before I had left Florida, I did stand up one time because we was trying to get in the club. I didn't have ID. So I said I was a comedian. They ended up having me do 5 minutes. But I kept that in my head that I had done that. When we get to Oklahoma, they're having a competition for stand-up. And if you win, you get to go out on the road with Jeff Foxworthy and Dan Whitney, who is Larry the Cable Guy, and Richard Jenny, and these great comics. You get to open for them. And once I did that, I realized, okay, as a comedian, I'm like way behind schedule. I done started this too late. All the funny guys are already funny and known names. Like, how am I going to progress? So I realized that I do better with a white audience than I do with a black audience. And I'm not sure why that's occurring.
Okay.
But the white audience likes me more. That's interesting. So when I moved to Sacramento, it's because Sacramento has a white and a black audience almost 50-50. That's
Okay.
almost the makeup of Sacramento. So I lived in Sacramento for 2 years until I get to the point where I am equally as funny if the room is black as I am if the room is white.
Okay.
That's not enough. Now I need to be one of the good ones when it comes to black comics. So now I have to move to Oakland, and that's what lands me in Oakland for 3 years. Once I have dominated male black comedy in Oakland to my liking, now I'm prepared to go to Los Angeles now. Now I know you can't throw me any curveballs. If it's a white audience, if it's...
I'm not gonna lie, this nigga giving me some kind of ideas, but not about being a comedian though. About how to get these different groups to watch.
a black audience, no matter what they are, I'm prepared to deal with all of the audiences.
Do you write jokes according to the audience that you're going to be in front of, or is your joke universal?
Well, in the beginning, part of my framework is that I'm tailoring every show to this audience.
Okay.
And that's how I was able to show my range and show that I was better than my competitors, is that I'm Cat Williams, but I was still doing clean comedy. So I was still going to churches and doing 45 minutes of stand-up at the church with no curse words, no sex, drug material, no none of that, just straight stand-up. And then I was doing everything else. And
at the regular club.
Yeah, that was the range, is that when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So that's how I started. But as you begin to get better, you begin to be able to speak to your entire fan base. And that's really what's been helpful, is that I've been having the same conversation with my fan base for 12 comedy specials.
And I'm going to have to cut it short real quick, but I'm going to be back tomorrow. God damn. I got to work in the morning. That's cool. Goodbye.